Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So this is a video, it's a follow-up to last week's video, which was about Trump's Muslim ban. Quick recap for those of you who have been living on the moon. Donald Trump, in an executive order, banned travel from 7 different countries in the Middle East, including Iran, Iraq, Sudan, Syria, Libya, Somalia, and Yemen. However, this was done in an incredibly sloppy way without coordinating with any of the federal departments who would actually be enforcing the ban. So it resulted in utter chaos. There were people detained, something like 107 people detained in airports since then. There was lawyers, and there's been news stories about lawyers who are setting up shop inside of airport restaurants and stuff to try to get their people through. They're not being allowed to see people are not being allowed to see their lawyers, that kind of thing. The sitting attorney general was fired because she recommended to the DOJ not to defend this order because she rightly said it was unconstitutional. So Trump fired her like a little man baby. He could have just waited a week until his own attorney general was, confirmed, but instead he fired her because, he doesn't want to look weak, that kind of thing. Since then, things have gotten a little bit better. People are starting to get through they've started to, allow people who have green cards and visas and that kind of thing. And, also, a federal judge has halted enforcement of the executive order. I believe it's for a temporary ban for 90 days. And Homeland Security is complying with the court order because, that's the law, right? And so now people are free to come and go. And, they're still being held to greater scrutiny and all that stuff. But the passengers who were previously banned can fly again. And as predicted, Trump cried like a little baby on Twitter because he's an overgrown man-child. And the exact tweet was this: the opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned. So it turns out this so-called judge, as Trump called him, is actually a Republican, and he was appointed by Bush. And his name is James Robart of the Federal District Court in Seattle, and he has an exemplary reputation. And it just kind of brings to mind, it reminds me of when Trump attacked that one judge who was in charge of his Trump University case. His name was Gonzalo Curiel, and basically said that this judge is biased to me because of his Mexican heritage and stuff like that, which is bullshit because this judge, Gonzalo Curiel was born in Indiana. He's a native, he's not like an immigrant. Anyway, so there was a really, really awesome video by MSNBC basically explaining why the DOJ lost this, and the judge decided to suspend it. And it had a lot to do with that Judge Curiel found that the DOJ's defense of this executive order was lacking in facts, right? And, alternative facts don't do very well to win court cases. I'll put a link, if I can find the video again, I'll put a link in the thing. But it was kind of refreshing to see the system working the way it was intended. This is how it's supposed to be, right? When the executive overreaches too much, one of the other branches is supposed to put it in check. And that's exactly what happened here. This case will most definitely be going to the Supreme Court. Hopefully, it'll get there before they confirm Trump's pick, right? But even if it does, I'm pretty confident that, this particular executive order is so crazy that even the conservatives on the court would vote against it. But we'll see. Who knows? Anyway, so it all kind of brings us back to why did Trump do this? Why did they make this executive order in the first place, right? And it was against certain countries, so Iran, Iraq, Sudan, Syria, Libya, Somalia, and Yemen. Like, why those 7 countries and why now, right? And so Trump claims that these countries were designated terrorist states by the Obama administration, and that Obama actually put a ban from travel from these places himself, which is not exactly true. What Obama did was that in 2011 there was a specific threat, right? There was a specific terrorist threat about a guy who was trying to sneak in as a refugee who happened to be a bomb maker in Iraq, and he lied about his status, right? And so what the Obama people did was that they put a restriction on refugees immigrating for 6 months because of that. So, and it was like, and it didn't apply to like every single person that came from these countries. It was refugees only. The fact is, this ban, as it's currently implemented, is totally ineffectual. It doesn't stop people traveling here who have come from countries that have, that we've had terrorists from in the past. The 9/11 hijackers were from Egypt and Saudi Arabia. They're not on the list. The Boston City bombers were from Dagestan, which is, I think it's near Chechnya, or however you pronounce that, the ex-Soviet state, right? Both of the Orlando nightclub shooters were born in America, and they were radicalized here. And in fact, the majority of perpetrators of Islamic terrorism in the United States since 9/11 have been American citizens who have been born and raised and radicalized here, rather than people coming from somewhere else, right? We haven't had any instance of somebody coming from a different country and then, ISIS sneaking in and, executing a terrorist attack. So what exactly is this order supposed to accomplish? Who's it protecting? Like, who's it supposed to prevent from coming, And the thing is, I could buy, like, when people make the argument, right, that, Trump is the president and he has access to classified information that the rest of us don't have. I could buy that argument, because that's true, right? But the fact is that he made this as a campaign promise a year and a half ago, right? This isn't something that just suddenly he became president and read some top secret information and said, holy shit, we're in danger. Stop these people from coming. No, he said a year and a half ago when he started to run for president that this is something that he wanted to do. So did he have access to this classified information then? I don't think so. Right? So that argument doesn't apply here. And what it really is, right? It's Donald Trump pandering to his base, because everyone in the government knows this order is bullshit. They know it's not actually doing anything. In fact, it's like, they know that it's going to be completely ineffectual. Right. And I even think that Donald Trump, somewhere in the back of his mind, probably knows that this is, the same. Probably knows that this is not going to stop people, But he's doing it because it's not about whatever actually works with Republicans, especially Trump. It's not about the actual results. It's about what looks good. Right. That's exactly what Donald Trump is all about. He's all about appearance. This makes it look like he's doing something about terrorism without actually having to do anything about it. The same way he made it look like people were cheering for him when he made his presidential announcement, a year and a half ago in Trump Tower, by paying actors $50 a head to come cheer for him. That's how Trump started his campaign. By making an announcement to an otherwise empty room that he had to fill by paying people to cheer for him because nobody fucking supported his ass back then, right? The same way that he, went up in a press conference and claimed that, stakes that weren't his came from a company that he no longer owns, or, a magazine that he didn't own was something that, was his magazine and shit like that, right? Because it's all about how it looks, The same way that not that long ago he he had a press conference and he stuffed it with paid staffers so that they would cheer for him when he called CNN fake news. All right, that's It's fucking ridiculous. He lives in a bubble of like the worst kind, and his head is so far up his ass that he doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, and the problem is that that's fine when you're a CEO of a company and the only thing that you ruin is your company, right? But now he's the president, right? And when presidents make bad decisions like this because they live in a fucking bubble, then it can ruin people's lives, right? Just like this fucking stupid ass band, has the potential to do. So, anyway, adios, folks.